We are back with our series of Game Changer episodes. Today we are here with Steve Parsons from Bear Valley Solutions. Our first episode is talking about how to evaluate talent. Let's get into it. Welcome to Game Changers, where winning isn't just about score. It's about invaluable lessons learned along the way. Join me, Robin Finley, as we delve into the parallels between sports and business. Remember, we never lose. We either win or we learn. All right, we're back for another exciting episode of Game Changers. Today we are talking about leadership skills. First, we're going to jump right into it, Steve. There's no point in beating around the bush. Let's get after it. What are your strategies for building teams and culture?
Oh, well, it depends what team we're kind of build, right? I guess in business, we're here to talk today, Robin. I think first
Don't be shy to talk. You're here because we're about sports. Game Changers is about sports and business.
Yeah, well,
I get into it all.
Sure, we'll unfold it, I guess. Really, it's about evaluating talent. So I spent the first half of my life pursuing a hockey dream, playing, coaching, scouting, up to the NHL level. And then I transitioned into business, and I had to learn a bunch of new skills, obviously, but a lot of the habits of hard work and rank and file in a team and moving up the ladder and getting called up and getting sent down, cut, bench, traded, all those sorts of things, you really learn about where you fit in the talent pool, and you really learn as a coach and a leader to evaluate and manage your talent. So now in business, when I've got a team either of direct reports, bosses, colleagues, other stakeholders, I'm constantly trying to put the right person in the right chair at the right time. And so in order to do that, you need to understand what their skills are and what they're good at. So it takes patience, it takes opportunity, and then you have to have an open mind. I think as we evolve as leaders, you never really, you get surprised sometimes by some people, and you need to be open to that. You can't come in with preconceived notions and ideas. So being patient about your talent evaluation for me is integral to developing the culture that we're going to have.
Yeah, I think that's key because you can see skill sets right away, the really obvious stuff. The hard ones are the ones you have to be patient about and wait for them to sort of surface, and the untapped potential in some cases, or some of it's just below the surface and a little less obvious. So yeah, that's a great connection. I love how you describe that. Our next question is, if you had 1 to say 3 leadership lessons that you could pass on, what would they be?
I think number 1 that I've learned, and it's become, again, back to the patience piece, is seek to understand before you seek to be understood. And that's something that I've tried to do a lot more in recent years, especially as I have, more leadership responsibilities in business and in sport and the community, is really try to understand other people's perspectives. Quite often, if you let people air their grievances and air their position, they might talk themselves into a sane decision, or maybe you'll learn something. And myself. So, there's no harm in waiting. There's no harm in being patient. I don't think it's, maybe earlier in my career, I was probably a little more impatient, and it didn't serve me as well.
Well, you need to get some gray hair and get some patience, right?
I've earned them, the hard way. So I think, really, one of the biggest ones for me is seek to understand before being understood. And then I think communication. I think with that, communication is 2 ways, right? It's listening, and it's also, delivering your message. And sometimes it's verbal, sometimes it's nonverbal. And you think as a leader, you need to be able to observe and identify the story and the message, because they're not always the same.
Yeah, I like the part about the communication, especially. That's something in a lot of the content you see from me online. I talk often about, God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. So I know you had a BD background at one point in time, and I think it's, served you well. Being able to ask those questions and listen is how you get that information. So yeah, great comment. Jump into another question here. So, you have to fail to learn and to achieve things. So yeah, you talked about your ups and downs in your sports career. So I mean, those are character building. Those happen in business as well. So what's your biggest leadership fail that you're happy to share with us? So I know you get the value of failure and how that turns into success later on. So yeah, I know you won't be shy about telling us.
No, I failed a lot more than I succeed. I think
that's the right answer.
To be honest, I think every day I fail at something that I try to accomplish. There's something about that pursuit of accomplishment, though, that drives people that are, want to be high performers, that want to be leaders in their space, whether it's sport, family, community, business, friends. Not everyone leads everything, right? Sometimes you can't be the leader everywhere. I know I'm not the leader in my house. I know who's in charge there, and I'm happy with that. That's great, right? And there's other areas and arenas that I'm in, whether it's lacrosse, where I've never played the sport, but I coach.
Yeah,
right.
Yes, you do. Thank you.
Yeah, so I coach in 2 different associations, and not because I have a lot to offer as a lacrosse coach, but I think that clearly they need some help, and I'm willing to open a gate and shag balls and be part of it. So I think that that's not necessarily leadership there. But as I get into more leadership opportunities in business, and I'm starting up my company right now, and I've had hockey companies for years, I have to be consistent. And I find when I was impatient, I became inconsistent.
Right.
And so if I can just stay patient, I can tend to be a little more consistent, and then it manages the highs and the lows. And I guess that's what we're trying to achieve, is that level of predictability, I guess, and routine, and that that's leadership. Big part of leadership.
Well, I always talk about that in my not so illustrious hockey career, that if I was consistent as a goalie, I'd be getting paid to play. But even the pros, have that's what all they talk about too, is being consistent. You did touch a little bit on high performer, which I think is a key part of assessing people. Like, do you have any special? How do you pick out a high performer?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, it's a deep question, because I was fortunate many years ago to participate in a high performance training program. It was a 10-day, fully submersed, 12-hour days on and off ice high performance training program put on by Hockey Canada, and I was able to achieve this hockey certificate. But I learned more about people, not just hockey. In that program that's really made a big difference for me. And one of the things that probably was the most impactful is the consistency, the day-to-day. It's an everyday thing. It's not you take the weekends off. No, on the weekends you do a good job on your yard, and you do a good job getting your kids to their sports on time, and you do a good 100%. Job of keeping your personal stuff in order. And so there's no off switch with high performers. And that's probably the most common trait that I've seen. People talk about perseverance, and that's true, and work ethic and ability and skills. Yep. But I think you have to do it every day. Every day you got to take another step towards your goals. And those people, to me, they shine. They chip away. They're there when you need them. They got something up their sleeve. They got a solution ready-made sometimes. Those are the people that I think perform the most at the highest levels. It's just day in, day out.
I love that. I mean, my daughters will tell you I'm the king of all the cheesy sort of dad quotes and the sports quotes and things like that. But I'm a big believer in the way you do anything is the way you do everything. Whether you're a high performer doing everything great all the time, doing the yard right and doing all those things, or whether you're kind of dogging it through things too. So yeah, that's a great way to flag off your high performers, just how they behave all the time.
Yeah, and you know what? Not everyone is perfect all the time either. And and the biggest thing that I've learned is to accept that. If I did a shitty job in my yard, I did a shitty job in my yard. Like, I'm not going to cry in my basement about it and think I failed as a human. I'll go out there and fix it and chip away at it.
Sure.
And then, then I'll be settled with it, right? Yeah. So I think it's a pursuit more than anything.
Thanks, Steve. That wraps up today's episode. Thank you so much for your time and your insight. Tell everybody where they can get a hold of you.
Yeah, thanks, Robin. You get a hold of me at steve@bearvalleysolutions.com. Website is bearvalleysolutions.com. LinkedIn, another way to get a hold of me. See you around.
We'll see you next time. On the next episode, we are going to talk about the influence of sports on leadership. Catch you next time. As we wrap another empowering episode of Game Changers, join me, Robin Finley, next time as we continue to unlock the secrets of success through sports and business. Remember, whether you win or learn, every moment is an opportunity.